Recording again. Sorry, coach. Carry on.
Yeah,
but I mean, that was it. It's a bad pacing if you can do VO2 for another 3 minutes. But breaking it down in those half parts, that'll allow you to be much better in shape and much closer to that target number, if you wish. Yeah.
Okay, good. Coach, how much percent of FTP do you think we should be targeting in terms of TT? Example, if 200 is an FTP after threshold, or let's say after the halfway point, or with like 10-15 minutes to go, do we target 110, 115, or 120 if the legs are feeling good?
Well, 100. I mean, go with maximum 5% increase. Yeah, because threshold is really it's not a super defined number, right? It's a small range though. And again, as I explained with those two theories of the muscles, cadence also plays a bit of a role in it, right? But not the overwhelming, like it's not 80 or 85 and you do half an hour longer at 80 cadence. That's not true as well. But yeah, go really easy with the numbers, 2% to 5% at max. I would go 2% up, 2% down, because if you're at threshold, you should feel it. If you are 102%, you should feel that you're really close to feeling the acidity as well. If not, do another 2%, and then you're still only at 4%, right? So not more than 5.
Sure, coach. Thank you, coach. Thank you so much.
I had a question, coach. Shri, can I go ahead?
Sure, Prasad, go ahead. Yeah.
So I think the course is like 16 kilometers one way and 16 kilometers the other way. And if I'm right, the first half is the uphill part as well as headwind this time. And then the return part is a little bit of a downhill with tail. I think some of the guys have done a recce, but based on the wins on ECR, I can see that. So how can our pacing be? That's my question number one. The second one is about what data can we monitor on our Garmin or whatever computers that we have to see that we are on top, or all that stuff.
So as I said before, even going uphill and on a headwind, probably 104% of the FTP should do it on the way out, because now you're getting 30 to 40 minutes into that range of your actual threshold there. So only a few percent above. And there's honestly a data field for it. I mean, it can tell you a percentage of FTP, and that's how I would use it, right? What you also can do is to get the normalized power up as well, but that would be more for a racing, which basically has a lot of bursts in it. And after about a 20-minute time duration, you need to give that calculation of the normalized power. It's a great number too, and a great tool too. But on a TT, you actually don't really need normalized power. Just go with the standard average power and have 2 powers up. One would be the actual lap, and you can also see the last lap as well. So you could do a lap split, right? And you could evaluate right after the race on how those 2 outward and inward legs look like. That's what I would do, and have just as a reminder on how do I want to do the pacing. But yeah, 102% I would start it, and then divide it actually by 4, because obviously if you go out and then do a second leg coming back, then obviously it's a much better way to say, okay, I'm about half an hour I need to do for, or 16 kilometers, not even that, right? So after 10 minutes, check your feeling and adjust then on the halfway point of that leg, and then do the same thing on the way back.
Coach, that sounds a good idea. In the start, can we, for the first 2 minutes or so, can we be in a tempo zone or sweet spot before we get into the threshold?
Yeah, because now you increase it slightly from below. That's the whole idea. Yeah, to just give you, since the warm up is usually a few minutes back, right? Heart rate is not there anymore, and it's just to basically let the heart rate and all the and all the cells get used to it, and the whole cardiac system get used to that effort. Yeah, and not to overdo the effort, because then the body definitely will use more of the glycogen stores than needed.
Okay. Yeah, Coach, if I can ask one more question. In the training peaks, we have the form, fitness, and fatigue numbers. Uh, can you explain? I believe these are calculated out of the DSS. Can you explain, in practical terms, where these numbers should be for an for working athletes like us, just to understand some metrics,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
on where we should be for a certain event or a certain race, so that we are peaking at the right time, and maybe our fitness is at a certain level. We can be confident about going into an event.
Okay, so in absolute terms, the highest you can get it without compromising the recovery. That's the easy one. So preferably, I would have, like most of my athletes, I would like to have everybody at around 100 at least, right? But it's well, that's just the absolute number, right? Looking at pros, they have around a 120, 150, and some even higher, depending on the event itself. Okay, just to give you a rough idea.
Okay.
That's a chronic training load, right?
Uh-huh.
For an athlete who wants to be a bit competitive, right, and still has another job to do, a 60 to 80, honestly, is a good number you can work with. So CTL numbers 60 to 80, that's quite okay. And you also have to put in a lot of effort for that, as you probably noticed, right?
Okay.
What's a bit, I wouldn't want anyone to drop below 40, honestly, because now look at a workout which has some anaerobic efforts in it. They tend to be, even if the duration is only 1.5 hours, they tend to be 100 TSS at some point, right? So you see, if you only have, let's say, a number of 20, you would overdo with that one. You would overdo it by 5 times, right? So that causes a lot of fatigue. And then the fatigue number is basically just a calculation out of the chronic and the acute training load, right? But that makes sense, right? Only doing 20 chronically, and then all of a sudden doing one day with 120, for example, or 100, right? Doing 5 times that what you used chronically. That's how you can basically look at it, just to give you an idea about the numbers and how they relate. So
Can you? Sorry to interrupt. Can you tell us about the form number, where it should be ideally for someone competitive athlete, but also working as a full-time job?
Yeah. I wanted to come to that. So now for the balance, right? So you want to be, you want to have a high chronic load, so you want to be fit, right? You want to have a good fitness, and you want to be fresh as well, not to have too much fatigue. So now the form comes in, right? Since most of you are going into that time trialing events, you can say that with a lower minus number on that form, you're actually set really good. What does it mean? You can still have a higher volume in front of your event and do really good. That's what's proven. So yeah, being not balanced, but being a little bit not so fresh, but close to getting fresh. That would be a great one. So one thing is also that you want to have the last days where you have the increase of that number, obviously. So if you come out of the -20 and then go to a -8, going to a -2, great one, right? But what it also means, in order to get there, you need to have rides with lower TSSs, so you don't stress the body too much. That's how you eventually get to that number. If you want to do a rough kind of road race, the higher number would be actually beneficial. Now a positive number on the form would be beneficial, because now think about it, you also have to do some efforts which are above or well above your threshold, and you need to be a little bit fresher, right? And it also has to do with the carbo loading as well. So you need to have more carbs stored, and then also have more freshness coming into the event. But that's the thing. So if you're like in a small negative number, I wouldn't even worry if you're like at a -12, -15 on that side of the curve. You're good.
Okay.
You can really put
okay. So the more positive the number, the better for road races. And
well,
slightly
yeah,
around.
no. Because I mean, the more positive, if you say, well, he's at a +20, he'll do great. No, because now the actual time he did his chronic load is too far out, right? Is way back there. Because in order to get that high number, he didn't do a lot of training in front of that, right? So it's, yeah. With individual coaching, I always know how the athletes, how much time the athlete needs to basically get to that number, right? But it's what it always is. It's like it needs to get by time or day by day. It needs to get to a level close to where I know he's performing best. So you're working your way up. That's definitely sure. And you see that if there is a TT schedule, that most of the time, the day before at least, you have only 50, 60 TSS, right?
Okay.
You stress the body, but actually not too much. And most of the time, you want to stress the body not above your chronic stress. Makes sense, right? So
Okay.
you know that.
So
It's more.
so elite athletes, just curious, what are their forms like, a balance like when they are ready for the events?
I didn't get say that again, please.
So elite athletes,
Mm-hmm.
pro athletes,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what are their forms like, form or balance, numbers like?
It's it's just a matter. They recover differently at times. So well, on stage races, right? It's not unusual to see like -40 as well before the ride, but still they do good, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
if you're if we talk about pros, actually it's if they have overtraining, right? They didn't do, or or the problem with them is doing too less of recovery. That's the problem. With the amateur athletes, it's the problem of doing too less to be at that level, right? But we also have that working business stress, which stresses our body as well. So that's why they don't do anything but recover. And yeah, you probably heard about the monoxide and what they use now. It's just a matter of how they recover. But they need to start with super low numbers as well, right? Even in a hard, challenging sprint race. But on a stage racing, everybody does, right? So everybody has low numbers, but they still recover differently. Yeah, it's really tough to tell, as you can see. If I can get him to that point, and it's only one race, it's still the same numbers kind of apply, right? It's just a totally different ride they do the day before, because now they have chronic loads of above 100 at least. So imagine what they can do before the day before, and not being and still being fresh, and not being fatigued on the other day.
Okay. For amateurs like us, is there like a range that you have for us to see, like you mentioned for the chronic load? Is there something that you would like to see us be in a range?
Yeah, well, 60 to 80. 60 to 80.
For the form.
Chronic. No, I only talked chronic, right? The other two they react to. I mean, actually, but CTA ATL reacts kind of only looking only back a few days, right? So it reacts a lot more about on a single ride. But the chronic load, it is obviously more stable, because it now looks back a month and even farther beyond. So 60 to 80 is a good number for you.
Okay. I was asking about the balance, the difference.
Oh,
60 to 80
well,
on that.
If you're 60 to 80 and you have a great balance, that's it. Then you're golden. Yeah. If you only ramp it up, if you only ramp it up to 80, but you're fatigued like hell, obviously that doesn't do the trick. Yeah. 60 to 80 for, let's say, a half a year. That's and then you're obviously balanced at that point. That's great. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thanks, Coach. Thanks.
Sure.
Hi, Coach. Vikram here.
Hi. Yeah.
Coach, I have a doubt. Okay, based on what we were discussing earlier, this is with regards to cadence. You had mentioned something, listening to it. So, with less than half the FTP of an elite athlete, I still manage to maintain a cadence of between 90 to 100, not by choice, but it just happens naturally. So, should I consciously reduce my cadence to, as you mentioned, to use these load, to recruit these load-rich muscle fibers more? Or should I just, keep going with the workouts without paying too much attention to the cadence? What would you advise?
If you feel good, that's one thing, yeah. But I have actually a lot of workouts which concentrate on low cadence. So at least during that workout phase, yeah, try to get that low with the cadence, because
that I do, sir. Coach.
Yeah, correct. But what it does basically, it changes your amount of slow twitch fibers. It basically, you cannot have like a lot more fibers of those type, but you can interchange them, right? So those two categories are actually multi-layered, because obviously one muscle cell doesn't have any glycogen usage at all, so it just depends on the bloodstream. And the other thing on the other end of the fast twitch fibers, this fiber just uses the ignition of the glycogen. So in between there's a lot, right? the more to the slow twitches you go, the more influence those capillaries will have, right? And the more red the cells also look like, and the other ones are just getting the more white they look like, basically. So the less capillaries are in there. So it's not either A or B, but we want to change some of those fibers to get really thick into the thick red, right? So that you have really a lot of capillaries there to enable you to do the most of the time trialing, right? Or to do the longer endurance rides and perform well at those longer events. So on the event itself, hopefully the cadence also your feel good cadence also will shift to the lower numbers. I wouldn't say just concentrate on pedaling lower, but just start with 5. Just start with a cadence of 5. So if you do 90, just try to do 85 at one point. And probably you notice that you can go for extended durations there as well. Yeah. Just because we don't do that higher power, but not. I mean, don't trim yourself down to a 60 now, right? That would be great as well. And honestly, if you're doing 90 or 85, so it's usually just one gear, and you still feel good at 85, right? That's the easy way. So just step down a bit, and that should do the trick as well. And you still should be feeling great.
Understood, Coach. Perfect. I'll work on that. And you were mentioning about the glycogen reserves in the muscles. So talking about carb loading prior to an event, should we carb load from 3 days before the event, or just 2 days would suffice? 3 days.
4.
No, here in India we always carb load in excess.
Yeah, no, yeah, 3 to 4 days basically, increasing the carbs, and it's just you don't want to increase the carbs and maintain all the other things, right? So it's just basically your total calories per day, and you just split them up, right? So you do more percentages of the carbs. And what's most of the time done wrong, I usually tell my athletes to do on a day. Let's say we do a carb loading for 3 days, right? So on day 1, do a hard workout, and also right after the workout, start with that carb loading procedure, right? And then get almost 70 to 80% of your total calories from carbs, but then reduce it towards the event itself. So do 70 to 80 on day 1, do like 70 on day 2, and do around 60 maybe on the day prior. So don't do that carb loading pre-event day thing, right? Where everybody goes to the big pasta party, because you won't sleep as well, and it doesn't get much better, right? On that one, you're just bloating up yourself. So reduce it a bit. You still have the main source of your calories coming from carbs, but not the highest one in the carb loading period. That's the best advice.
Got it, Coach. Thank you. And one more thing, Coach. This is regarding, I mean, we do have the warm-ups that you give us before any event, must be a 20 to 25-minute warm-up. But apart from this, should we, prior to getting onto the bike, should we do any dynamic stretches or something just to ease up our muscles? Does that help? No.
The dynamic stretches could, but most of the time with stretching, different science there, but most of the time what people do is basically rupture a little bit of the muscular structure. So I wouldn't do it prior to an event. I wouldn't do it after an event. Only if the next day would be a rest day, then I would do a lot of stretching, because we're just actually hurting our muscles in stretching routines as well. and definitely don't do it before a road race, the stretches, because now you reduce your ability to be punchy. Okay.
Okay, understood,
Yeah.
coach. Yeah, and the other one was we've been noticing that over the last few races, whether it is a road race or an ITT, you've been sending us into the race relatively more fatigued as compared to the past. That is by design, isn't it? Are we meant to be more fatigued in that week? Because we see 100, 125 TSS workouts during the race week, which we haven't seen in the past.
2 days before, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I want to actually leverage with that event. I also want to leverage you guys up furthermore. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. That's what I want to know. So on those lines, we haven't received our leg openers for tomorrow and day after tomorrow yet.
I didn't have anything in there. I'll do that. I'll do that. Yeah, I'm well aware. Yeah, because I had the we had on the group started now. I had a pre-test week, a test week, and now a repeat test week because since if you're not used to the tests, I think one or two are in that video call as well. So if you're not used to the test, as you know, you get the testmanship, right? And you know how to set it up to get better numbers. But if you're able to reach that better number, that's why I did that. Yeah, and that's why I didn't do any workouts past today, honestly. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we look forward to that, coach. Thanks a lot, coach, and we look forward to seeing you in India soon.
Hopefully.
We've been talking over Zoom for too long now.
Correct.
Great, coach.
Hello,
Thanks a lot,
Coach.
coach. I'm done with my questions.
Hello, Coach Harisaran here. I have a question, a couple of questions. Firstly, Coach, I have been like out of racing or any events for now close to 6-7 months. So I've been shedding a lot of weight and I've been training consistently. So I've lost like around close to 40 pounds over the past 6 months.
Okay.
There's a big transition for me.
Yeah.
So I've been also seriously training indoors, completely indoors. Very, very few, 1 or 2 rides over the past 6 months have been outdoors for me. So I have a question on that. Like, how should I adjust my current indoor training routine as I transition back from so indoor to outdoor in terms of racing? I plan to start my racing from first week of or by August somewhere. So I just want to know, like, what can I look forward to in terms of how do I transition this? Because I see that particularly there is a lot of difference in terms of how I train indoors and when I move outdoors. There will be a lot of differences. Second thing I wanted to check with you, coach, is like since I've lost a lot of weight now, and would you recommend Bike Fit again? Srivatsan is here, like he has been helping us all. So would you recommend a Bike Fit? Because I'm my everything, my jersey size, everything has got changed. So most probably, like people may not even recognize me when I go out now for a race.
How are
So
you
40
anyway?
pounds is quite a 40 pounds is quite a lot of weight that I've shed. So, the good thing is like my power numbers are up from what it was earlier. So
Yeah,
I've
I
not
know.
yeah. So I've been again in touch with you on this. So these are the 2 questions I have, coach.
Okay, answer B, yes. So to answer the last question first, I would do it. I mean, that's massive. First of all, congratulations, on doing that. And since it's a massive change, do that, because now some angles might look differently. So bike fitting will do it. Second, the first question. Go out, ride the bike outdoors, slow, fast, cornering, braking.
Okay.
Do skills a lot more outdoors now than you care about the power numbers. Honestly, go out, ride the bike, put the computer in your back pocket. Don't look at power numbers. ride and concentrate on riding, and concentrate on riding if you're out with friends, concentrate on riding in a group, because I've ridden with guys who basically just do or did a Swift, right, or like indoor training, whatever kind,
Okay, good.
and it's not very nice to ride with guys who only did Swift, who also look at their power numbers but don't know how to ride with others. So it's not. Don't fall into that trap. That's what I mean, right?
I understand. I
Best
understand that.
advice is for you basically to be safe. Don't crash, and also
Correct.
don't harass the others who know how to ride in a group. It's
Correct.
not.
Yeah, I
Not
understand,
hammering on
Rico.
you, but just telling you that's what happens most of the time from guys coming from stationary trainers. Do that more than looking at power numbers. Do that for 1 or 2 months. Don't care about the power numbers, and you'll get better in everything. You'll see. Because now you're involving the upper body as more. You're doing more with your hands. You're doing more with your shoulders. You'll see. I mean, it's not massive increases in power then, but it doesn't need to work out for that. Just go out if you can, and do that outdoors. Helps you a lot.
Sure, sure, Coach. Thank you so much. Thanks. Because I think in my mind, I think I've lost some confidence in terms of how to ride outdoors. So I need to get back into that.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Cool.
Thanks for the answers. Thank you. Helps a lot.
But really great on the changes.
Thank you, Coach.
So hopefully everybody's happy.
Any more questions, guys?
Anything more?
If not, I think.
I have one more if I can squeeze that in. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. In terms of hill climbs, I've been doing a few lately, and I'm noticing that I mean it's extremely hard, especially on the longer ones, which are above 500, 600 meters. And I tend to go out of breath, and I have to, there was one climb where I had to stop every 2 kilometers, and I had to get back on the bike again. While someone older than me was just happily plugging along, and he finished. So I'm curious, what can we do to improve that? Is that a cadence issue, or is it just FTP or weight? I'm a pretty big guy. I'm about 82 kilos. So what are your thoughts on that?
Just practice it, and it's a matter of power as well. Usually you're also more capable of doing like slightly above threshold on the hills if you're not doing hills on a regular basis. So you might see some higher power for the duration, but I hope you were not in your last year when you had to stop every 2 minutes, because that's what basically tells you change the gearing for that specific climb, right? But it's just a matter of drilling the threshold up and staying below threshold for the climb. Yeah, just don't overdo it. I mean, it's probably you got excited climbing up the hill, right, or following some different guy, and there your weight comes in for sure, because what's 2 kilogram decide who's the fastest, and you probably can't ride with that other guy. And the lighter you are, the better you are off, right? So just take it easy. Do the hill for a few times with that lower intensity, and you'll soon manage to be fitter on the hill climbing as well, and can chase the threshold then.
Okay, so get the threshold up.
Yeah, and consistently work your way up there. Yeah. But I would
Okay,
initially pick a tempo, your tempo number, and write up the hill in tempo pace, because that's what really keeps you going and doesn't stop you every 2 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, coach. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Sure.
Bye.
Coach, just one question to add to that. Recently on a hill climb, we went on a hill camp, and in that, I did my 20-minute power test in that hill camp, and I got my best number
Correct.
of any 20-minute test in the past. So how do I judge that, coach? Would I be able to replicate it more easily on the flats, or was my effort relatively easier on the climbs? I know I'll know it best only if I do it in person. But how do I judge my 20-minute power on flats vis-a-vis the hills?
It's not a whole lot which changes, but a few watts still. So if maybe it's a 95% in the flats. It's just because the bike is or the power phase on the pedal gets a bit wider, right? Because of the bike needed to be pushed all the way. I mean, if you stop, if you stop pedaling, you know that you stand after 1.5 meters. It's a stop, right? And that's basically the braking action of the bike, which is helping you there in smoothing out a bit of the pedal stroke and keeping that pedal stroke longer. So that's the only thing which changes.
Okay. Thanks, coach.
Any other questions, guys? If not, I thank everyone for joining. And coach, thank you so much for all the insights. Let's try to do this once every on regular intervals, whenever folks, need to catch up with you, and whenever you feel like you want to share some information with everyone in general. And let's all work towards a fitter tomorrow. Thanks, coach. Thanks, guys. Talk to you all soon.
Garmin slogan at the end, right?
Yeah, fitter tomorrow. Yeah. We need to be
Excellent.
consistent. We need to work hard. Yeah, it's not just magic, right?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah.
Thank you, coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you,
great
coach.
week.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
coach.
Srivatsan, for organizing. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.